So these are the things we're going to talk about, and you should have a handout, and there's some additional documents in the handout which I'll talk about. A lot of this you already know when we go through it, but I just want to get you on board with timelines. So for those of you who worked on the SOPs and those of you who have been waiting for 3 years for the SOPs, they are posted, or some are posted. We have more to post. We need your guidelines on, or your guidance on what other SOPs you need. We need your guidance on if you have a nice SOP you would like us to reformat into a generic format, like when you look at the website. You know what, I should have, if we have time, I'll try and pull up the website. We would love to have your SOP if you don't see one there that you think should be on the list. The way this is set up is, you know, they're Word documents. At first we thought they were going to have to be PDF, but now they're Word, which is great because that's what we wanted, that anybody can go there, grab one they want to make it their own for their own office with their own logo, their own, you know, numbering system, and then use them. Our SOPs are just a mechanism to move people forward in their office and to get organized better. I had a call the other day from someone who was desperately looking for she had a monitor at her site and she needed a site responsibility SOP. Well, it's not posted, it was still on my desktop, but we had one. I just sent it to her and I said, use this, tweak it, and you'll have it done. And I think that, you know, that's what we want to happen. But, you know, it'd be better for her not to have to call me because I haven't posted it yet, but go to the website. There's this first handout you have after the PowerPoint presentation is what, I believe I got them in the right order, is what the website looks like, and there's an address. And actually, let me see if I can get there. Without too much trouble. But again, it's just a beginning of what we want to be able to post here. Let me see if I can. Watch, I won't be able to find it here. Oh, that's OSU. That won't do us any good. Sorry about that. Well, I tell you what, at the end of this, if we still have time, I'll try and come back in and find it. But if you go to on the form, the printout you have at the bottom is an address. Go to that one and you'll get to the link. And again, all the documents are Word, so you can play with them. Anyhow, let's get back to where we were. So the other thing that you need to know is coming, and you're going to be hearing about this more intensively, like I think it's our next session, our month, the first Thursday in October. We're going to talk about at-risk accounts or pending accounts. This is something that's we talked about for years. They've gotten a system, or years, a couple of years, and finally accounting and OSP have gotten a system in place where it'll be very efficient and very quick for you to get a pending account when you start a pharmaceutical study. These are only going to be implemented right now for pharmaceutical studies. There may be risk accounts for other types of trials, but we're not focusing on those yet. Just this is what the focus will be here. We will be marketing, you know, we're going to be talking about it in different venues. One of those even being with administrators. We're going to meet with the department administrators because they're probably the ones who are going to be seeing these account numbers come across. Because what will happen is it will automatically, once you submit to OSP, it'll get generated, it'll get, let's see, you submit to OSP, it'll go to accounting. Accounting will automatically generate for you your orchestra and your account that you can use. So you won't have to do anything. You're going to get an email, or whoever submits it and noted, to get an email that you have this pending account. We'll go into more detail the next time we meet. One of the things as we all know, is building budgets is a big deal. We're going to have a 2-hour session, I think in another month, where it's going to be like a workshop. We want you all to come and bring anybody, and we're just going to hammer through how various people kind of have a panel. How do you build your budget? How do you identify the costs? With CRISP, we're all over campus, and it's amazing and we do budgets for people. And it's amazing how many people just accept pharmaceutical companies' budgets and don't understand the concepts. We had one investigator just recently freak out because he had a refusal on the first, when we first submitted the budget to them. And we said, that's okay. We just keep negotiating. I think we just had one that we really fought for, and about the third time we got it. So anyhow, we're going to try and work on that. We've talked about also having somebody from the School of Business to kind of come and give us some maybe pointers on negotiating. I don't always think of that, but the more I thought about it, it does make some sense to at least get some bullet points on some techniques for doing that. As you know, we stopped the research seminar for the summer and kind of reevaluated, so we're just getting started. I think there's a handout of what the year looks like. We made some changes. We're only going to do it twice a month. We began to feel like 3 times a month maybe was too much because we were doing the first, second, and third Thursday. So now we'll just do it the first and the third. It'll still be here at this point. The other big thing, we are trying to add some programs that may be, and we'd love to have suggestions, of interest to investigators. One particular one that we're trying to, I think we have it slotted for 3 sessions, is to bring an investigator and his or her team to talk about challenges of implementing a specific kind of protocol. Or maybe we could learn, I would think the rest of us might be able to learn some techniques, how did they learn to become a strong team, just real life experiences. Don't know if we can get the investigators here, but you never know. We can keep trying. As you look at the agenda, I would also tell you, please, again, I keep saying this, but we're open to suggestions. We tried to poll people when we were putting it together. Things might be moved, so you should watch for, on the CCTS, they're always going to post what the upcoming week's sessions are. We think we'll be able to stick to this calendar, but if not, sometimes things flip-flop, but hopefully you'll get notification if we do that. And we'll continue with the CMEs. Yes, sir.
I think we're missing some of the dates of the handout.
Are not all the pages there?
It goes to November to April.
It's copying. Okay. You know what? I bet what happened was, all right, they already made you send it to everybody. What happened was it went through as double-sided when it was already, it went through as single-sided thinking, and it was already double-sided. I need a QC person is what I need, checking my work. So we'll get that out to you. So we hope this works better. Do you all think that twice a month is probably a good idea? It just began to feel better for all of us. Our training programs will continue as we've had them. The one thing that's going to be a big change is, we've done the CITP, the Clinical Investigator Training Program, twice. We've done it each session. Each time we've done it, it's been 4 hours. It's not long enough. You all know, we do 24 hours for the study coordinators. We're going to increase it to 12 hours, and it'll probably be 3 different sessions. It's going to be a lot more intensive, but we just didn't feel like we were getting the information to the investigators. And again, the intent of all of this is research implementation, and that is writing a protocol isn't what we're going to teach them, or again, designing a study, getting grant funding, getting pharmaceutical funding, we're not going to deal with that. But again, it continues on with research just implementing the trial, much like all the things that we think are so critical and how important it is for them to understand. We expect the first session now to be in January of this, sometime after the first of the year for this 12-hour session. The RTP, again, we're still continuing on. We still have great enrollment, and we'll be starting again in October. So if you have any new faculty, new staff that you'd want to attend, or if you want to attend again, let's see, if you're a nurse and you need CEUs, it's a good time to come. But we're modifying some of the courses, just trying to tighten them up. We've been doing this for 10 years now, and some of them haven't been tweaked in a while. So we're working on that. The research orientation program continues. We'll have our next session that's always the 4th Thursday of every month, just so you know that it's there. Again, attendance this summer, we had 2 sessions, and half of the people attending were investigators, we're really happy about that, because that was really when the young investigator who's just starting in research, we really want them to get some of the basic information into their heads before they start research. So we feel like that's coming along nicely. So for both of these issues, you've heard, I think over the past year we've talked about them, but there are changes coming. And it's funny, both of them are going to be implemented in November, so we don't have the final documents. Clinicaltrials.gov, they're modifying it. We think that based on the preliminary information, as we've talked before, they're going to be mandating more and more trials be posted. On clinicaltrials.gov right now, it's really just an interventional drugs and device studies. That's all going to change, and they're just going to add more protocols to it. There's also some other changes. There's talk about AEs and SAEs that when you enter those in, they're usually just listing. Now they want to know relatedness. So it's going to become a little bit more of a headache, or a continued headache. Maybe that's it. Just when you think you're getting control of it, it's going to get away from you again. ICH GCPs, we talked about this earlier this year. If you all were here, they're modifying it. It's going to be version 2. It hasn't been changed in something like 20 years, they said. ICH GCPs haven't been modified. The changes are not, they're important, but they're things that we've mostly had to deal with when it comes to Code for Federal Regulation, such as they're focusing a lot on risk. So they've incorporated risk-based monitoring language. They've incorporated language that's related to, the risk-based language, that's related to data management, that's related to electronic data, because in 2007, or even whenever the first version came out, they weren't too worried about electronic data, and so there are more rules and guidelines. Again, they're in line with what the Code of Federal Regulations requires, so it's nothing really new. There are more guidelines. I didn't realize this, but ICH GCP never had any guidelines for monitoring, and now they do. They're putting that in. Now we've had some of that in the Code of Federal Regulations, but they've done very little. They've just described what a monitor did, but now they're going into more detail about the rigors of the task that needs to be done. Let's see if I can find some other interesting points. The self-monitoring is going to be more important. Quality control in your office is going to be more and more important under the ICH GCPs. And as we move to, and I'll mention this later, but we're moving toward a world where institutions are going to be certified. So it behooves all of us in our own offices to become more rigorous and to figure out ways to increase the quality of what we do. So anyhow, so this kind of lends to what we're doing. It's the way, the regulations are going the same, and everything is going in the same direction, that we're going to be more accountable or have documentation of the quality of work we do. There's, some small things. PIs are going to be expected to oversee their vendors more, but that's not very important. Talked about quality management. There's going to be more rigor placed on breaches of confidentiality and breaches of bad data. So I don't know what that's going to look like in the end. We certainly deal with it with the Code of Federal Regulations, but I think, again, everything plays together, and we're just looking at being more rigorous and more focused on the data and the safety of subjects. GCPs continue to be a big issue for all of us, and it's the big movement in the NIH right now. Everything, they worry about GCPs all the time. Used to be you didn't hear that in their discussions or presentations, but it's clearly there now. There is a mandate that GCPs must, you have to have GCP certification for NIH-funded studies, and many of you probably already know that and are already doing that. I think it may even move to where you have to have documentation or even working with the CCTS that you have to, and there really are quite a few investigators who don't because it hasn't been mandated. The other part of that I would say is if we're going to be contacting folks who don't have GCP, it's also true the only one that we really can see is Miami CITI. So you might have a certification for GCP training, and that will be fine. And I'm going to talk to the IRB to see if there's a way we can get that on the tracking record that they have, whatever, it's in IRAP, isn't it? I think that's where the training so that it's in one place, so that people, you don't get questioned all the time when someone goes to look at the IRAP e-record training, that there's no GCP training. They're going to accuse you of not taking it when you probably have it, but you took it elsewhere. Because there's not one course that's mandated. That's the issue right now. There's movement toward that, but they aren't there yet. One of the news things that just came out this week is there's a social and behavioral training program for GCPs. And if you work with any social behavioral scientists or coordinators, certainly this is available. It's free. It's been put together by NCATS. It covers all the key things that you would do in a drug study, but with the removal of the drug component and interventional. I mean, there's interventional and behavioral often because of whether it's exercise or something. Not the drug and device have been removed. One of the big things that's, as I mentioned earlier briefly, is institutional certification. There are several organizations out there that are pulling together a way to certify our institution, any institution, to be of a quality, of a standard that pharmaceutical companies would really want to come to, that they'd really want to use us. So what that means is, again, everybody's got to have training, everybody has to have SOPs. We at the lower level, so to speak, are going to be the ones who are going to help the university get certified. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. I know one group is certifications are coming out next year. There will be a possibility of getting certified next year through a group called ACRES. And what they expect to happen is that if you're a certified organization, pharmaceutical companies are going to come to you really much more quickly than they would to someone who's not certified. My own editorial view of that is that it was also thought that pharmaceutical companies would only go to people who have coordinators who have CRCs or CRAs. I don't know that that really happened. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think this is a bad idea. Will it increase our book of business, so to speak? I don't know. Time will tell. But it is a direction we're moving in. So we all need to be cognizant of that as we enhance what we're doing in our offices. As you may know, the CRISP program, which is the education that we do, and the CRISP service, we are kind of really under one umbrella. We have a new facility. We moved into New Hillman 2. And I wish Liz had told me about the air conditioner. It died the day we moved in. And, they brought in room air conditioners where one end shot out the cold air, the other end shot out the hot air. And it was in the same room. I said, really? It just, but we're, and then you're going to have to stop by sometime because the walls are the same color as in the conference room. The chairs is so monochromatic. We're going to start painting on the walls. I mean, it's beautiful. It's all brand new. We're not really complaining, but it's, geez, it's a little crazy right now. But we have space. We're not sitting on each other's laps, and that's the important. So we hope it gives us time to grow. And again, I think using it as a resource for education, too. Whatever we can do to make that happen. We are adding a QA/QC service that we want to make available to anybody. And again, that can be, we're not sure how that's going to play out, but we're getting some folks on board for that. One of the things that's happening is with investigator-initiated trials on campus, and that can be whether they're started here or whether NIH funded, they're expecting the institution to provide monitoring. The Cancer Center does this already, but the rest of us haven't had this resource. So we're building that resource, and we've been getting more and more requests just to provide monitoring. Maybe just twice a year, come look at our records. And so that's part of the QA/QC. On October 25th, this is really small and really light, isn't it? I apologize. You do have a printout. We're going to have our first lunch and learn. We're getting back to those. Remember Carolyn used to do them? We did them in the call center and conference room. Yes, it is. We are going to have lunch, and it will be in the Spain auditorium. We have 11:30 to 1:30 set aside, but we're not exactly sure. I don't think we'll use all 2 hours, so you'll get more notification about when it will be. So we're going to start implementing this as a CCTS. So we're kind of taking it over here to keep it going. because I think it brought a lot of, brings a lot of information to everyone. We really would love, we're trying to figure out how to encourage every department or division to send at least one person, because the information we provide is kind of, it tends to be new and different. So what we're going to talk about this month is, they're going to talk about what the CTAO is. Mark Marchant's over that. What the status is of Encore and Power trials. CBR group is going to give an update. We'll have an education update. Effort reporting update. There are some major changes coming to effort reporting, which, well, it doesn't affect some of us, but it'll affect others of us, and to make sure our investigators do what they need to do. So that will be presented. There's going to be some discussion about lab support, and there may be other topics. We're still a month away, so we have some time to build this out. But it's been such a, we've had sort of been a desert for a while without meetings. So again, there may be a lot of topics, but we want to go back to quarterly because we think it's important.